About to clean my room and do laundry. Son of a bitch. Forgot to charge these controllers. Okay. Alright, on campaign. Continue Gamepire.
The final piece of the Saga Mata relic is somewhere in the Flak Tower. Get it, signal for help, and get out of Germany. You could be humanity's last hope.
Could be. Not always, though. I just say that I was wrong about my post, or my essay last time, because I think it was just something messing up with YouTube because the internet was down too, kind of, so I'm gonna take it off for a little while. Bitches. Get out. I'm dead again. I don't know how you're gonna able to be. Okay. I think that's how. I think I gotta make sure to go in one of the things and then pull out my rifle and then pick off the dude who's running with the dynamite, and that's how I'll take some of them out. Okay. Let's try it. Sucks, man. I just don't have to pull anything, so. Serious. One hand. Yeah, this is the same thing I did last time with these guys. Alright. I want him to come through a different way though. A lot of times when I went to functions with my family, I would love to act out or get attention. Remember this one time I wanted to get attention from these ladies. I thought it would be funny to make fun of the American song of shaking the countries of the Vietnam for us. Shit. Here we go. Alright, made it. Gotta get to the safe room.
Hello, I found a spot where I can touch down, but it's crawling with zombies. And this place will be blasted into an atomic wasteland any minute now. I'll circle a couple more times, but then I'm going to have to bail. Awfully sorry, chaps, but unless you pull a miracle, you're gonna be on your own.
Alright, here we go. Alright, I remember, yeah, one time I decided to make a fool of myself. Not fool myself, but I decided to talk about the national anthem and all that other different stuff. So, my country says of thee, I think, or was it a different one, maybe? Maybe. It was "Oh Say Can You," see, Oh, say you fart by the dawn's early part. Pretty awesome. Pretty good job. too, man. So I said that. My grandparents will probably like laughed at me and told me shit or something. I don't know. I didn't know if they were nice people, so I never met them. A lot of times though, I would reminisce about making myself embarrassed in public, and I remember a time when I used to embarrass myself in public pretty much all the time, and that was when I was always afraid I was going to embarrass myself in certain areas and stuff. You know, I'm just going to throw it. There we go. There have been a lot of times where I noticed subtle things to be able to get attention. I had to think ingenuitively and get attention. That's the reason why I think that I'm a little bit like kind of like trying to get out of the spotlight a little bit as far as things go, as far as my whole social life goes. It's because I tried that doing that when I was younger and it didn't get me anywhere. Not to say that it wouldn't have gotten me anywhere had I done it professionally of any sort or anything like that. I just think that a lot of times what people didn't understand about my own situation was I was usually just bored, and it made me not bored. So as long as I was doing it, most of the time I wasn't bored. Well, most of the time I wasn't bored. Sometimes. So that's the reason why I am extremely bored, basically. And I think that that boredom went into a shit getting resurrected. Destroying this spinal cord. Should get that dude behind him too. I think I got two, maybe. Three of them. Come on. Come on. Yes. And three. Come on. Yeah. Woo. That's the charm. Where's he at? Yes. Scan that ground point. Where'd he go? But yeah, I would pretty much embarrass myself a lot. And that's probably the reasons why I'm kind of like shy right now. Like hard to speak sometimes, or kind of like trail off, because most of the time I'm not really into what I'm about to say. So it's like I'm not interested. So it feels like if I'm not interested, then why would anybody else be? You know? That's usually the reasons why I feel kind of dissatisfied with my problem. So it's usually the reason. But other than that, I think I'm a pretty good public speaker. I've tried to like, and a lot of times my friends don't realize what's wrong, I guess. Like, I mean, I've done that to my friends sometimes too. Did not realize what they were doing, and then through some sort of like mix-up or mix-match, wanted to make it look like I'm an insensitive person, I guess. It happens. It's not out of range or out of date or anything like that. Shoot this thing. Can't do it. Can't do it. I don't know what's going on. Maybe there's a glitch. Maybe there's a glitch in the Matrix. Alright, I'm gonna act like I'm actually quitting smoking. I put my cigarettes in this little chest, and I will save them. I will save them for never. Oh, he's stuck here. See, all the red lights are on now, I think. It's open. Maybe. Alright. I thought that was a two-headed one. That would have been so tight. I think a lot of people, like, there's this game that people play, I think, with advertising. Like, with all the outrage and all the bullshit that people actually say, is like, oh, this is the thing that's the coolest, or something like that. It's not really like, no one gets outraged over, like, stuff that people play. Like, if I was to be in the news, it would probably be for something that's stupid that I did. Or if I was to be in, like, the news, like, oh, it's a vocal 31-year-old played a game and it has a Nazi symbol on it. What? But you have to figure out the context. What's he doing on the Nazi game? He's killing Nazis. Well, is that a good thing? Why is he killing the Nazis? Because they're zombies. I just imagine myself like front and center sometimes in the limelight and me saying something completely stupid and dumb to make it like played out or something like that. It's the funniest thing because I think that why is he killing the Nazis again? Are they zombies? Is that a good thing? It might be a good thing. It might be. It might be a good thing. Oh man, a lot of times I never, I never really really thought that what I was doing was amazing or something like that. And maybe that's the point, is you gotta think you're doing something amazing, and then people will pay attention to it. Not really that it makes a difference, I don't think, about this stuff. It's still me shooting zombies and having satanic and crazy symbols. Crazy, Indo fucking stupid symbols that are just really unoriginal. Indian symbol. It's an Indian symbol. Big Indian symbol. Kind of like the East India Trading Company or something like that. I don't know what, like, because there's, I mean, what in my mind, what, like, qualifies as, like, offensive? So I think that, like, something in the right context is always not offensive. Like, if you're putting cartoon violence on something, and if you accidentally put the Nazi symbol in there, I don't know if you're a Nazi. You're not, might not be, but I think that you might be insensitive. That's probably it. But on a video game, who knows? I mean, it's not Daffy Duck. It's not someone that I admire and want to keep coming, like, around and stuff. I think, yeah, there's obviously a bunch of zombies upstairs or inside of that building. And those two little gateway thingies are probably... I don't know, I'm gonna go upstairs and see what's going on.
Please! I can't hold on!
Shut up! I don't negotiate with terrorists. Oh, that didn't register at all! Shit. Shit. Bitch. Okay, I'm gonna beat this last level, and I'm gonna look back on all the embarrassing moments that I did do, and I think, the most embarrassing moment that I ever had is, actually wasn't an embarrassing moment for me. Technically, it wasn't an embarrassing moment for someone else. I saw boobies, and I wasn't supposed to see boobies. She, a young girl like I was a young lad, 2 for 1, yeah boy. Okay, what's another embarrassing thing that I've done? Let's see here. Like really embarrassing. Oh yeah, I mean my mom looked like an abuser. Like, just made her look like one. It was really crazy. she was really angry after that because I didn't really want to like listen to her, and I told her not to hit me again. Like in a really like afraid voice, knowing she wouldn't really hit me, but she would just give me a stern talking to, and I'd probably stay in my room for a while. Is it good? Oh! Oh man! Killing Nazis. I don't know, like part of me doesn't want like a whole bunch of stuff to happen as far as like violence and stuff goes, but I mean there's a point to where you kinda like I wouldn't mind if and I'm not talking about anything now or anything like that. I'm talking about like before they did bad or harm or any bad things at all, basically. Before they did bad at all, basically, there are a lot of times when I embarrass myself, and like I didn't notice until later on, I guess. Let's see, I was wrong about the whole Philip the Tanker thing, but whatever. I've embarrassed myself a lot of times, so it's like one more is not a big deal. I'm going through the rest of the times that I embarrassed myself. So, let's see, I don't want to repeat anything, like, anything that I've already said, so, just took the elevator out, I guess. Amazing. He's gonna keep on making more, I think. Shitty bitches. Yeah, these stupid little bitches keep on making more. Bitch. Got him. In one ear and out the other. Or in one ear and out the back of his skull. Just like him. It's fucking stupid. Alright. Alright, okay. Most of the time when I inject myself, I like to do so in a classy fashion. It also looks like I am doing stupid shit, like doing it on purpose for attention. Most of the time I am. Shit. Y'all got you. Is there another one? That's why I'm losing. Alright, yep, and another one. shit. Yeah. I gotta kill him again. I gotta shoot him right in the skulls. It feels weird doing that. Like, really wish I could get some. To infinity. But yeah, I've done a lot of embarrassing things. Most of the time I think that I embarrass myself because I care a lot. And, I not really care a lot, but I mean, I care enough, you know? And that's what I think the difference is between me and, like, any other person, I guess. I kind of care about people's mental state. I care about putting them in good mood. I always want to put people in good mood. I never want to bring anybody down. I've made like so many advancements and reasons and the ways that I've been able to do things so far. I think that looks good, I guess, for some people. I don't know, or some of my own emotions sometimes. And, I care about people making it through the different scenes and not, like, letting themselves go. Like, letting yourself go is probably, it gives you an advantage amongst other one bullet makes them die. You'd think that one of them bullet would actually go through all of them, but they're just like on fire because they're made of sulfur or whatever. Why you don't put sulfur inside of you? Or sodium bicarbonate, you know. Because a lot of times sodium certain can cause that people would actually not sodium, but bi-sodium carbonate. It's like, what's it is? An inflammable thing. Like if they put like high-grade drugs, not like table salt, but like, it's like too much salt, so if you made it rock salt, food, you could die of basically combustion. But one of the points is, it's like if you know how of a bitch. Whoa. They're just gonna keep on coming, I know that. So, and as soon as I pick off like a bunch of them, I'm gonna I'm amazing. Getting the relic. Didn't know I could do that. It just killed that main guy and then everyone else would die afterwards. Oh my god, it's like the curved...
I see you. Hold tight, I'm coming to get you. Welcome aboard. Hold on to your hats.
Amazing. One woman did all that. Killed the Nazis. All their symbols. They're gone and dead. They're dead and gone. That's, I mean, I think that's a lot of people who don't like realize that being progressive is in some ways like damning, and I don't know, like I got an achievement. I didn't really see it though. Let's do a continue. I think it's just a theatrical. And the map 50 minutes.
The Book of Souls predicted my ascent. The Hellmouth illuminates the righteous struggle before us. We stand on the brink of eternal power! Deputy, it is your duty, your honorable sacrifice! We are determined and united! All will be reborn from the ashes of our purifying flame! We will be relentless! The fatherland will never fall!
Oh shit. Zombie Armor Trilogy. Episode 3, Beyond Berlin.
Operation Red Harvest
Holy
reduced
fuck.
much of Berlin to ash. but legions of Nazi zombies still gather in the bomb-blasted ruins of the city. However, there are survivors trying to reclaim what remains of civilization. They look to you for salvation. Do not let them down.
I think, like, you ever heard that expression? It's like what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. It's kind of like oh man, there are people that they're overzealously kind of say that there's more to life than what they really want, I guess, or say that there's something that they really want that's greater than themselves or anything like that. But it's only the amount of what we put on the pedestal, put onto that kind of like thing. It's only the amount of trust we put into that that idea that makes it seem like people are progressive and so cool and fancy free. And then I think what happens after that is our interpretations of what progressive means kind of get in the way, or our side interpretations of what people actually mean, and not really side, but moreover other people's interpretations get in the way. And really, I think that they should get in the way. Because most of the time, people don't realize that their opinion is not the only opinion, and also their realization of facts is an interpretative view, and not actually you see all the stuff. It's like no one's saying that North Korea killed 600,000 people. They did. Like with Myanmar too, and all those other different things. It's like, oh, we gotta go on to the next fucking thing. It's just like, no, Kim Jong-un he's running from the law, basically, in my standpoint. He's running from the law, and it was under his rule as well. After a certain period of time when Kim Jong-il died, and he allowed people to think that Kim Jong-il was still alive. Nobody really knows about that stuff. But you don't you can't tell somebody that the stuff that people are doing is just terrible. And oh my God, the president actually tries to go see if they're going to have a peaceful resolution. I don't think they're going to have a peaceful resolution. I think that eventually North Korea will try to attack us. And then it won't be fun. I mean, it's just logical, though, sometimes, if you think about it. They will. They've tried it before, and they're not really letting on that they have a certain number of missiles, but I guess they probably got fucked over by somebody if they wind up in the desert. Maybe they're just acting like they're weak or something like that. Because that's what a lot of Asian countries do sometimes. They put their best foot forward sometimes, but their best as in their best war foot forward sometimes. And I mean, most honorable foot forward most of the time is to concede. And I don't put anything past anyone, so But those are that's an embarrassing moment. Just now, me talking about stupid wars and people who were in them. My grandfather was in World War II. So it's like, you know, I mean, I'm not like a fucked up person, you know? I'm not a fucked up person. I don't know or see a lot of people sometimes now because I'm kind of like done with it, you know? Kind of done with trying to embarrass myself because I know that no matter how many times I try to get to know them or to get to know anyone, I'm never going to know their true self or what they can do or how they will do things because I'm not running an investigation, but I mean, there are certain things you just know. Like, will Russia try to keep ruining our trade values and then keep trying to act like they want Mexico to be a part of gang wars and stuff like that? Of course. They will continue to do that. And I think it has a lot to do with old regimes. Old regimes and different people that put in traditions of different things that did Russia kill way more people than the Holocaust? Yeah. They did. They killed way more people and stopped so many different people from having futures and families and a whole bunch of different things. But of course, there was purification happening, and Russia wanted to side with Germany in World War II. Technically speaking, they were only with us because, or even close to being with us, because of a stipulation, basically. After a certain point in their cleansing, because it was actually cleansing, and it was just killing people. They would stop because they had reached a certain point where they had gotten to a certain lineage, and that was at a certain point on their map, and that's where they stopped. And then Germany didn't want that. They wanted to treat everyone to the most amazing things that the Aryan race could do. And that's where Stalin had a problem. And it's the only problem that Stalin had with it, though. That's the reason why a lot of times people don't realize that they still do that. Very often, under the guise of different countries having smaller wars. And it's probably the reasons why I smoke cigarettes, because I'm smoking another cigarette. This is my protest. I will not live my life. I probably will not succeed. Unless people stop caring about other things in war. About more things than just war. It's my dad's protest too. My dad doesn't want to live right here. My dad doesn't want to live in this world where people are constantly at each other's necks. My dad constantly watches like old reruns of sitcom shows because he kind of feels that like that's the way that things should have been. Funny quips and cool jokes and people not getting too fucking hardcore about something. My dad's slowly dying. And I have to watch. I can say whatever I want to say. He's a different breed, but he's suicidal, and I know it's wrong. But I know he's going to do it, and there are a lot of times when I had to be okay with death before I ever even had to accept anything else. And I guess it's probably the reasons why I acted out for attention, because I wanted someone to appreciate that wasn't like on my radar for going to die, or maybe just have another opportunity to talk to somebody that wasn't so obsessed with death. And that's probably the reason why. My mom would tell me stories about like stuff, and it didn't mess with me. It just made me feel like there was hope eventually, you know? The song, go ahead and hate your neighbor, go ahead and cheat your friend. You can do it in the name of heaven, you can justify it in the end. There won't be any trumpets blowing on the judgment day, on the bloody morning after one tin soldier runs away. It's about it's about people at the bottom of this mountain and people at the top of the mountain. And the people at the bottom of the mountain want to be able to get the gold and the riches that they've heard. And the people at the top of the mountain. And when the people at the bottom of the mountain basically kill off this entire race of people, of the mountain dwellers, or something like that, they lift over this huge boulder, and all it says is peace on earth. No matter how many treasures you receive, no matter how many gifts of glory or divine whatever you receive, you're still yourself. You're never that object, you're never that person. And that's the one thing or a couple of things that I got from Christianity, Muslimism, in some ways Islamic, whatever. A lot of people don't read the scriptures very well, and they get really defensive about it whenever people actually talk about it. I don't want to smoke this cigarette. And I think I'll just keep them to remember. But yeah, once you realize that all the riches have been gotten, or things have been able to be that way, or gotten it all, everyone and everything wants to be an influencer. They want to influence the first person they see, or the first person around them, and to do something that they want them to do. And the more you see everyone around you, the more you realize who influences who, how they influence each other, and how they understand each other, or how they at least give each other ideas. I would embarrass myself because I thought that maybe I could get close to people to figure out what people were all about, you know? Then I figured out they were about just their own money. They were about their own world, no matter how much actually ever left their hand, or how much ever actually comes in. A lot of people don't realize that they're not, and this isn't like a cold realization at all. It's more like a recycling system. It's like you recycle the money that you don't use or anything like that. Or you recycle the money that you use and put back into a system. A controlled system that is controlled by whatever government or whatever thing, something or another. It can be free at times because there are certain things that actually affect it. But understandably so, whenever people don't realize that it means I mean, simply put, it means no matter how much gold or how much riches or how many things you have, if you're not happy, then you blame the next person. You always blame the next person. Whether or not their skin color is a different color, or their beard's a different color or something like that, or their eyes are a different color. Whatever happens, if you're not happy within, then you always blame others for your misfortune. And you can say there are plenty of kingdoms of not or so-called people that have fallen to another so-called kingdom, and then that kingdom decided to give its riches to someone else to make sure that there were wars over and over again, to be able to be like, oh, that guy's took him, you gotta talk to that guy. And I'm just saying that's not what happened here in America. You can say, like, people didn't have a hard time in the wilderness. People didn't have hard times in the north, the south, the west, the east. I can tell you that they did. There are stories from Native American culture that don't depict like huge goddesses and stuff. There are pictures that depict great animals, great foes, and they honored their dead. When they honored their enemy, that's the reason why I think a lot of people didn't realize that those statues were there. And when people decided to go against them, they realized it was time for change. My enemy will always try to influence me when he is not around. My friend will only influence me when he is there. So realizing that the more my friends are around, the less I know of my enemy. Understandably so. Do you have to have an enemy? Do you have to have an enemy? Do you make an enemy where there's none? Or do you make an enemy where there is a potential friend? Or do you make a friend where there's someone with a differing opinion, but someone that if you realize their opinions were valid as well? People can say that they're right all the time. People can say that they are completely and utterly flawless. And there's nothing in their repertoire or anything that's about them that needs fixing, nor ever any changing.
I'm not going to argue, you're not going to argue. I just got to play it cool as possible. You got to play cool as possible, which is hard to do.
All right, so
Killed your fucking friend. You got to fucking be around it.
So realizing that no matter what, if you think about it like that, if you think about it like the way that my dad looks at it, because that's the way my dad looks at it. He looks at things, how can things work out for him. I look at things differently than him. I can say that I look at things differently because how can things work out for everyone? How can things work out for every single being or every single person, and every single person have the best future possible? Given all of these factors and all these people who think that they're just better than whoever they think they are, or whoever thinks that they're bad or something like that. Take Trump, for example. People think that Trump is bad. He's a businessman. He's always been a businessman. He's always told people what he thinks was the most idealistic opinion of all time. He can say whatever he wants to say because this is a free country. And there have been a lot of times where people don't understand that when certain people are in office, they like to push different companies. No matter what they're doing, no matter what they're really saying, they're just holding off until they can get their company the money that it needs in order for it to stay afloat for like 5 to 6 years after that. 10 to 15 maybe, if they're a good businessman, like Trump is. And how he's doing. And yes, it's going to happen. I'll have my last packs in a little while. But, I think that most people, what they see when they're embarrassed about something or when they're embarrassed about anything like that, it's like I'm embarrassing myself all the time, basically training myself for a world where people embarrass me constantly. And I think the most of what you need to realize when it comes to certain regimes and certain people who just don't like anyone, comparatively speaking to no one. They just want the power. They don't understand that there is no power. There's only what you perceive and who perceives you to be. That is the power of perception. There's no power. Like, there's none. Nobody can move things with their mind or find out things like that or any of this stuff. I mean, if there was something that actually existed that would be like this, it would probably be, I'd say a mixture or a hybrid of something, maybe a symbiote or something, a symbiote, whatever. Okay, doesn't matter. But that would probably move people around and stuff like that, and probably have to be eradicated at some point because of itself getting too strong and realizing that it doesn't need the human race to exist. And it really doesn't need it, but it needs it to survive in certain cold temperatures or warm temperatures or temperate climates and stuff like that. There's something that happens in New Orleans that doesn't happen in a lot of other places. I mean, there's a lot of different kinds of vegetation that releases chemicals and different things in the air. And that would prove deadly for any virus that tries to get in or anything like that. People don't notice that we're completely surrounded almost by a bunch of rivers, a bunch of things like that. So kind of this is like the best place to hold up in case things go bad, you know? This is ever a situation where there's like a virus going around or a parasite that can hook onto someone's prefrontal lobe cortex and ventricle. What is it? I don't know what it does. But it would have to mimic humans first. So, I know people don't understand that. I mean, there are a lot of different ways that this could actually happen. Okay, it could actually originate in some area that is temperate or moderate climate. Or it could originate in some place where it's very violent, I guess. Or it could have actually been the remnants of what dead people are, basically. They're remnants of a nervous system shut down and kept going through electrical stimuli through a bunch of years or a bunch of different kinds of things. And I think that a lot of times people don't understand that, like, usually the idea of something usually starts the kind of thing that people don't understand. And it's originally a plant that this virus is, whatever this parasite is, that makes creatures want to get up and help it and then die and then become its food. A lot of plants eat animals sometimes in the wild. They eat them slowly. They're like bugs, basically. They mimic kind of flies. Flies kind of mimic plants a little bit because they're on one of the first stages of larvae conception. And what comes into being probably is the fly. It kind of like the pollination, I guess, of the fly. It kind of floats around, kind of, sometimes. Their eggs kind of float around in little microscopic particles sometimes, but they get bigger as they go down, and they kind of fall down in little puddles and stuff like that, or like side streams or something like that, or anything like that, or not really streams, but mostly ponds. And oh man, where do flies come from, right? I know they don't come from some magical, mythical place or anything like that. They actually are a virus, almost. They are almost a virus, like ants, kind of, a little bit. They move in a certain pattern, basically moving around. Whenever they're lost, they go around in circles and circles until they find their path again. That's kind of like what a virus does, a little bit, because of what it used to be. Whatever it evolved from, it used to be a virus, basically. And people don't understand that. I can't really stress enough that eventually, if they eradicate all these viruses and all these different cancers and things like that, people will start getting sick for no reason. The reason why I think that people will start getting sick for no reason is because there's certain solar flares that happen as we pass stars and different things like that. Irradiated metals that are already inside of our world are basically leaking radiation and making us sick. And I think the only thing that's actually combating that, or combating any sort of radioactive goop or whatever, is, I think, a lot of viruses actually do. There are two sides of the same form, I think, and I think one made the other, or one kind of manipulates the other once it's got a sentience, I guess. Once it goes to a certain evolutionary chain reaction, I guess. But I'm probably wrong again. But it's when you look at things in a sort of like microscopic scale, it starts to make sense that there's something going on and something happening because of life itself, basically changing and moving and trading oxidization particles and like oxidizing particles and electrons and neutrons, and there are a lot of times where I embarrass myself, and I don't think this is the time, but zombies aren't that far off. I mean, it would have to be a plant-based thing. It wouldn't be like covered in fire or anything like that. It would most likely be kind of a plant-based monster, humanoid, I guess, and different parts of it would have to be working as one, I guess. It would have to group up into one thing, and that's kind of what I saw in Resident Evil 0. And it's kind of weird that this kind of like maps out what a virus would actually be, or the parasite would actually do in numbers. And I think that yeah, I'm done with smoking. it scares the shit out of me. It scares me more than anything. And I have a couple of fears, and I have to figure it out because it just needs to be. It's I think that that is probably the nearest and dearest thing to my fear that kind of scares the ever living shit out of me. And hopefully I don't think that anything actually even lives or exists that actually does that yet, or maybe even had to exist in certain form, I guess. Oh man, or maybe like a meteorite at some point when people are exploring downstairs in the ocean, they don't realize that there's a parasite that just like attaches itself onto their fucking ship or something. It's like it excites me and scares me at the same time, and you're gonna need a lot of handguns if that happens. Why? Because to kill people who turn into crazy monsters. It's a very far off thing, but you have to understand that a lot of weirder things have happened. Way weirder, like so much weirder. Oh, this is cool.
The General's waiting for you over at Operations. It's just another couple of streets away. You must have seen it from the roof. Careful.
But also, too, people like to embellish the truth and say that there's some sort of thing wrong with something that people understand or don't understand. They like to say that people are wrong, people don't know what went on, there wasn't enough to be able to see through a whole bunch of different stuff. And people died because they were just unlucky most of the time. Say they're unlucky, they're just undertrained. There are a lot of people that died in certain areas, in certain places, and I just don't know the reasons why they like, they should pick up and move on. So it's just, not one to judge sometimes. I'm not one to judge only because there are so many things that people let go so many times, and they'll only allow it for so long.
Feel free to activate them.
Okay, I'm gonna go up here and see what's going on with this. Oh man.
Excellent, you made it. Now just give me a few seconds while I run through the new decontamination protocol. Don't worry, this stuff won't hurt you, but it's effective on zombies. And we can't be too careful now, can we?
Head on in. The General's waiting for you. We were hit hard last night. We lost quite a few. Don't worry, you're going to be fine.
Sergeant Tanner, the East Wing barricade needs urgent repair. Get over there and see what you can do.
Alright, so
Good to see you. We have a situation. One of our best St. Ulrich Hospital on his way back here. That
I
place
guess-
was overrun
no,
months ago
I
and we've
mean-
not heard from him. I need you to find out what happened to
Because
Neil
of,
and the intel he was carrying.
Why, if it's long enough, just beat the firing range.
so many people's war.
I expect the West.
I'm sure I saw something moving down
There also has to be so many people's peace.
You must have been.
Weapons inspection at 800 hours.
And every person you think about is probably
I'm
like,
sorry I can't open the gates just yet. The streets are swarming and our bunker is almost overrun. We could use your help in there, thinning them out. We've set up a radio out there.
Feel free to activate the radio when you're ready.
Incoming.
Here they come.
with the farts. But those are some of the most interesting and embarrassing conversations. Me talking about politics and then people being wrong about it.
Where's the gig?
Not namely me. Oh shit, he's fucking dead. Still is not dead. Alright, there we go. An hour and 34 minutes, and I'm gonna go hang out with my friends. So, if ever you feel embarrassed about something, realize that I'm wrong a lot, but there's one thing I'm probably not wrong about, and it's something nobody else has any idea about. It's aliens and zombies. Technically speaking, it's not. You're not supposed to call them aliens. It's like derogatory, probably. I'm really progressive with things that don't actually even exist yet. I'm figuring out ways to not offend them. Have a good day.